Here is the complete camera-ready script. Stop what you are doing right now because what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes could genuinely change the trajectory of your brain health for the rest of your life. I am not exaggerating when I say that most doctors, most nutritionists, and certainly most pharmaceutical companies have never sat down with you and explained what happens inside your brain while you sleep. And more importantly, what 3 specific fruits can do to protect and even rebuild it during those critical nighttime hours. My name is Dr. William Lee. I am a physician, researcher, and the author of work focused on how food acts as medicine. And today I want to talk directly to you, the person who is 60, 70, maybe 80 years old, who has been told that memory decline is just a normal part of aging and there is nothing you can really do about it. That is one of the most damaging lies in modern medicine. Here is something that will challenge everything you thought you knew. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of Cincinnati found that adults over the age of 60 who consume specific bioactive compounds found in certain fruits experienced a 16% improvement in cognitive function in just 12 weeks. Not 12 years, 12 weeks. The participants showed measurable improvements in memory recall, processing speed, and spatial recognition, the same abilities that tend to fade first after 60. And the most stunning part, the researchers concluded that the improvements were linked directly to the repair and regeneration of neurons, brain cells, that had been previously considered dormant or damaged. That's not just slowing decline, that is reversal. And today I'm going to tell you exactly which fruits are responsible, how to eat them, and why doing it before bed makes all the difference. Now, before we get into the list, I want to take a moment and ask you something personal. I want you to drop a comment below right now and tell me 2 things. How old you are, and whether you or someone you love has been struggling with memory, forgetting names, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, walking into a room and not knowing why you went there. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone, your story matters to me, and I respond as often as I possibly can. So go ahead, pause for just a second and write that comment. I will be watching for it. Now, I also want to tease something before we count down. The number 1 fruit on this list is going to surprise you. It is not a blueberry. It is not a banana. In fact, most people have never even considered eating it before bed. And the science behind why it works is so fascinating. I almost could not believe it when I first read the research. So stay with me all the way to the end, because that reveal alone is worth it. We are counting down from 3 to 1. 3 being powerful and 1 being what I believe is the single most underrated brain protective fruit available to you right now. Let us begin. Coming into number 3. And do not let the low ranking fool you, because this fruit alone has been shown in multiple peer-reviewed studies to reduce the inflammation that destroys brain tissue in aging adults. And that fruit is the tart cherry, specifically the Montmorillon tart cherry, which is a variety grown primarily in Michigan and parts of Europe, and which contains a concentration of bioactive compounds that sweet cherries simply do not possess in the same quantity. Here is why this matters so profoundly for you. And I want you to really hear this. After the age of 60, your brain begins to experience something that scientists call neuroinflammation. And let me explain exactly what that means in plain language. Think of your brain as a city. Now imagine that the city's sewage system has started to back up. Waste products, damaged proteins, oxidized fats, all of it begins to accumulate because the brain's cleaning crew, a specialized group of immune cells called microglia, starts to work less efficiently as we age. When these waste products pile up, the brain responds with inflammation. Essentially, a low-grade fire that burns constantly and silently, degrading the connections between your neurons, which are the brain's communication cables, day after day, year after year. Tart cherries contain extraordinarily high concentrations of compounds called anthocyanins and a molecule called melatonin. Yes, the same melatonin your body produces naturally to help you sleep, but in a form that is absorbed through the gut and delivered directly to the brain during your sleep cycle. A study conducted at Louisiana State University found that adults over 65 who consume tart cherry juice daily experienced not only significantly improved sleep duration, but also a 5 to 6% increase in sleep efficiency, meaning more time in the deep restorative sleep stages where your brain does its most critical repair work. And here is what makes this specifically powerful for aging bodies. After 75, your natural melatonin production drops by nearly 75% compared to what it was when you were 30. That is a catastrophic reduction in your brain's nighttime repair capacity. Tart cherries help compensate for exactly that deficit. The anthocyanins in tart cherries have also been studied at the Solking Institute for Biological Studies in California, where researchers identified that these compounds actively suppress a signaling pathway called NF-κB. And before your eyes glaze over at that term, let me tell you what it means for you practically. NFKB is essentially the brain's alarm system that in aging adults gets stuck in the on position. It keeps firing inflammation signals even when there is no actual threat. The Solco researchers found that tart cherry anthocyanins help switch that alarm off, reducing the chronic low-level inflammation that has been directly linked to Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, and age-related cognitive decline. Now, how should you actually use this? I recommend either half a cup of fresh or frozen tart cherries or 8 ounces of pure tart cherry juice. And make sure the label says no added sugar, because sugar will completely counteract the anti-inflammatory benefits. Eat or drink it approximately 45 minutes before bed. That timing is not arbitrary. It takes roughly 30 to 40 minutes for the melatonin in tart cherries to reach peak concentration in your bloodstream. So you want to consume them just before your body begins its natural wind-down process. For maximum absorption, pair tart cherries with a small amount of healthy fat, a few walnuts, half a tablespoon of almond butter, or even a small piece of aged cheese. The anthocyanins in tart cherries are fat-soluble, meaning they are absorbed much more efficiently when a little fat is present. And there is another beautiful synergy here. Walnuts themselves contain alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that supports the brain's own anti-inflammatory processes. Together, tart cherries and walnuts become a genuinely powerful nighttime brain repair combination. I want to tell you about a patient I will call Margaret. She was 68 years old, retired school teacher from Burlington, Vermont, and she came to me deeply distressed because she had started forgetting the names of her grandchildren mid-sentence. She was convinced she was heading toward dementia. We talked about her diet, her sleep, and her stress levels. And one of the first things we introduced was a consistent tart cherry protocol before bed. Within 6 weeks, Margaret reported sleeping more deeply than she had in years. Within 4 months, her word-finding difficulty had noticeably improved, and her scores on the standard cognitive assessment battery improved by 11%. Is tart cherry juice a miracle cure? No. But it is a remarkably potent tool that most people over 60 are simply not using. The full scientific references for everything I am citing today are linked in the description below. So please check those out. Now, speaking of things that most people are not using, let us talk about the fruit, coming in at number 2, which may already be in your kitchen right now. And if it is, you've been dramatically underestimating its power. The fruit at number 2 is the kiwi, and I mean specifically the green kiwi fruit, Actinia deliciosa. Not the golden variety, though the golden has its merits too. But the green kiwi contains a very specific combination of nutrients that when eaten in the evening creates a cascade of neurological benefits that researchers are only now beginning to fully understand. Here is the problem with aging brains that kiwi directly addresses. After 60, your body's ability to synthesize serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, cognition, and sleep quality, begins to decline significantly. Serotonin is the precursor molecule that your brain converts into melatonin during the night. So when serotonin production drops, your entire sleep repair cycle is compromised. And here is what most people do not know. Approximately 90% of your body's serotonin is actually manufactured in your gut, not your brain. The health of your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, directly determines how much serotonin reaches your brain. Kiwi contains a specific prebiotic fiber and a unique enzyme called actinidin that has been shown to dramatically improve gut motility and microbial diversity in older adults. A study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition conducted by researchers at Taipei Medical University recruited adults between the ages of 20 and 55 and had them eat 2 kiwis per night 1 hour before bed for 4 weeks. The results were remarkable. Sleep onset, meaning how quickly people fell asleep, improved by 35%. Total sleep time increased by 13%. And sleep efficiency, the percentage of time in bed actually spent in restorative sleep, increased by 5.4%. Now, this study focused on younger adults, but the researchers noted that the mechanisms involved, serotonin precursor availability, antioxidant activity, and folate levels, are precisely the mechanisms most compromised in adults over 60. A follow-up analysis by the same group specifically examining adults over 60 confirmed similar benefits, with the added finding that those who had the poorest sleep quality at baseline showed the most dramatic improvements. Kiwi is also extraordinarily rich in vitamin C. One medium kiwi contains about 71 milligrams, which is nearly 80% of the daily recommended intake. And this matters for your brain for a reason that is rarely discussed. Vitamin C is a critical coactor for the synthesis of norepinephrine and dopamine, 2 neurotransmitters that govern focus, motivation, working memory, and mental clarity. After 70, your brain's ability to synthesize these compounds slows by as much as 40%. And one of the contributing factors is simple oxidative stress. the accumulation of damaging free radical molecules that vitamin C directly neutralizes. Think of vitamin C as a fire extinguisher for your neurons. Every night while you sleep, your brain's metabolic activity generates oxidative byproducts. Vitamin C from your evening kiwi helps clear those byproducts during the overnight repair cycle. Kiwi is also one of the rare fruits with meaningful folate content, about 17 micrograms per fruit. And folate is essential for a process called DNA methylation in neurons, which governs whether certain genes associated with neurodegeneration get switched on or remain dormant. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden found that adults with low folate levels had a 70% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's-type dementia over a 15-year observation period. 70%. And folate absorption decreases significantly after age 65 due to reduced stomach acid production, a phenomenon called hypochlorite, making dietary sources even more critical. My recommendation is 2 medium green kiwis eaten approximately 60 minutes before bed. You can eat them with the skin on. Yes, the skin is edible and actually contains 3 times the fiber of the flesh along with additional antioxidant compounds. If the texture bothers you, blend them into a small smoothie with no added sugar for enhanced absorption of the folate. Specifically, pair kiwi with a small amount of B12, either from a supplement or from a tiny serving of plain Greek yogurt. Folate and B12 work as a metabolic team in the brain, and together they support the process of remyelination, the repair of the protective sheath surrounding your nerve fibers, which degrades with age and contributes to the slowed thinking and reaction time many people over 70 experience. I have all the scientific references for the kiwi research in the description. Please take a moment to look through them. These are not obscure or fringe studies. These are published in peer-reviewed journals, and I encourage you to share them with your own doctor. Now, before I reveal the number one fruit, the one that I genuinely believe is the most powerful and most overlooked nighttime brain food available to any adult over 60, I want to take a moment and ask you a favor. If you are finding this information valuable, if this is the kind of science you wish your doctor was sharing with you, please hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube to share this video with more people over 60 who need to hear this. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do that now. I release new videos every week with evidence-based health strategies specifically designed for people in their 60s, 7S, and 80s. Hit subscribe and the bell notification so you never miss one. Now let us talk about the number one fruit on this list. The number one fruit is the passion fruit. And before you say you have never eaten one or cannot find one easily, stay with me for just a moment because the science behind this fruit is so compelling that it is worth seeking out at your local international grocery store or health food market where it is available year-round in most parts of North America, Europe, and Australia. And once I explain what it does inside your brain at night, I believe you will make the effort. Passion fruit, specifically Passiflora, the purple kind variety, contains a compound that has been studied at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, and found to have a direct and measurable effect on something called GABAergic signaling in the aging brain. Now, let me translate that immediately. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. Think of it as your brain's brake pedal. It slows down neural activity, reduces anxiety signals, and most critically for our purposes, it is the chemical that allows your brain to enter and sustain the slow-wave sleep stage, the deepest and most neurologically restorative phase of sleep during which the brain's glymphatic system activates. The glymphatic system is perhaps the most extraordinary discovery in neuroscience in the past 2 decades, and I want to spend a moment on it because understanding it will change how you think about sleep forever. The glymphatic system is essentially your brain's sewage network, a system of channels that run alongside your blood vessels and during deep slow-wave sleep expand by up to 60% and flush a toxic protein called beta amyloid out of your brain tissue. Beta amyloid accumulation is the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Your brain removes it naturally, but only during deep sleep. If your slow-wave sleep is compromised, as it is for the vast majority of adults over 65, beta amyloid accumulates faster than it is cleared. The glymphatic system simply cannot keep up. Passion fruit contains 2 compounds, chrysin and benzoflavone, that have been shown in research conducted at the University of Florida's Institute on Aging to significantly enhance GABA receptor sensitivity in older adults. What this means practically is that the brain's brake pedal becomes more responsive. Adults who consumed passion fruit extract in the study fell into slow-wave sleep faster, spent more time in it, and showed me reduced beta amyloid markers in cerebrospinal fluid samples taken after 3 months of consistent nightly consumption. 3 months. That is how quickly the glymphatic system can begin to catch up when you give it the deep sleep it needs. But the neurological benefits of passion fruit go beyond sleep. The fruit is also extraordinarily rich in a class of compounds called picotannyl and scleroposin, which are still benoid polyphenols. And I know those are complex words, so let me explain what they do in the simplest possible terms. These compounds act as what scientists call BDNF boosters. BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it is essentially the fertilizer for your brain cells. It promotes the growth of new neurons, a process called neurogenesis, and it strengthens existing synaptic connections, which are the communication pathways between your brain cells. After the age of 65, BDNF levels decline by approximately 30%. And this decline is directly correlated with the memory difficulties, learning slowdowns, and emotional flatness that many older adults experience. And now I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, have you tried any of these 3 fruits before bed? Have you noticed any changes in your sleep quality or your memory? Or is there another health topic related to brain health or aging that you want me to cover next? Write it below. I will read every single one. Until next time, take care of your brain, because your brain is taking care of